But as you can see, anytime Brother Robbie and I get a chance to spend time together, it's an unadulterated joy. That we have more than a friendship. We have a profound brotherhood. That love is in no way reducible to politics. In no way reducible. Is that Sister Esterling there? Bishop? Bishop Esterling? Oh, my God.
She was preaching before you came out here preaching.
Is that right? No, I'm a hang loose Baptist, so we love bishops even though we don't have any, you know. But oh, what a blessing to see you. But the point is that Brother Robbie and I, that we're brothers in the deepest sense, that it goes so far beyond political agreement. I love him when he's wrong. I love him when he's right. I try to correct him. He tries to correct me. We revel in each other's humanity, even though we're both cracked vessels. And we're trying to love our crooked neighbor with our crooked hearts, as the great W.H. Auden put it, and he's absolutely right. And so when he reflects on our coming together, it really is a beautiful story because, you know, these days in the professional managerial strata, there's not a lot of stress on either courage or genuine, deep brotherhood, sisterhood, siblinghood. Yep. To be a professional these days is conformity, upward mobility, so sophisticated, often too arrogant and condescending to those who are outside of your silo. But what we have here is not because we're so special, just having brotherhood, sisterhood, friendships. We experience that around the table at Thanksgiving dinner with family. You don't agree with members of your family politically. You still love them. You still connect with their humanity. But we become so polarized, it's hard to be able to make that kind of connection. And so something that used to be, you would think, so ordinary and normal, we go around the country and say, we're an odd couple. An odd couple? Just because I love a brother when he's right and when he's wrong? Is that odd? Have we reached that depths of spiritual decay and moral decrepitude that we can't revel in each other's humanity? And of course, we've taught classes together. We have magnificent intellectual exchanges. He's a Catholic, Thomistic, legacy of Aquinas. And I am a black Kierkegaardian, which is making a leap of faith and a wager on transcendence. And yet we meet both as Christians at the bottom of the cross. We meet as citizens of this fragile democratic experiment, trying to create public space in such a way that each one of us can enter without humiliation, even when we have deep disagreements. But the love is deeper than the disagreement.
Well, so that's such an interesting, I was watching a Fox interview that you two did recently, and you were talking about the notion of disagreement. And I think one of the things that makes people label you an odd couple is, unfortunately in society, when we disagree, we just run away from each other, right? It's just far easier to go find people that think like me than to enter into disagreement. How do you two handle disagreement? How do you enter into that? What's the operating ethos that allows you to disagree and yet still have what is so clearly a loving friendship?
Well, I think it's rooted, I'm going to risk speaking for Cornel here as well as myself, I think it's rooted in our shared love of truth. Now, we may disagree on this or that issue about where the truth lies, but for both of us, we try to love truth more than our own opinions. The danger, and I think what has caused so much harm in our society, is people fall so deeply in love with their opinions. They become so identity forming for people. They wrap their emotions so tightly around their opinions that they love the opinions more than truth. And so they're not interested in having their opinions challenged. If you love the truth more than you love your opinions, then you will welcome those who disagree to challenge your opinions, because that's your only hope of shifting your views just in case you are wrong. So your best friend, I learned this from, I'm sure Cornel did as well, I learned this from Plato. And he learned it from Socrates. The person who challenges you, who causes you to rethink, who causes you to change your mind, or at least gives you that opportunity in case you're wrong, that's not your enemy. That's your best friend. The way you get at truth is for two truth-seeking, truth-loving people, or more, but at least two, to get together where they disagree and examine the reasons and the arguments and the evidence on the competing sides of the question. Now, let me venture a guess. You all correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I'll just put it to you as a question. Is there anybody out there who right now only has true opinions in your head and has no false opinions? Anybody out there? Okay, no. All right. So what you're now recognizing, what we're recognizing, is that we're all fallible. We know that we not only can be wrong about things, we know that we are wrong about some things. And does anybody out there suppose that the false opinions in your head only pertain to the minor, trivial, superficial matters in life? Is there anybody who's infallible on the big, important, profound questions in life? Raise your hand. No. We know we could be wrong even about the deep, important questions, questions of meaning and value, the human good, human dignity, human nature, human rights. Now, if I ask, well, since you know you have false opinions in your head, why are you walking around with false opinions in your head instead of true opinions? Why don't you give those up and embrace true opinions? And the obvious answer you'll give me, it's the one I'd give you, is I don't know which ones the false ones are and which ones the true ones are. But if I never open myself to critique, and especially if I try to shut down the other guy or use power to shut down the guy who challenges me, I'll never know which ones I'm wrong about. I'll never have a chance at correcting myself. I'll be confirmed by the people I talk to. I'll only associate with people who agree with me, and they will constantly tell me, you're right, you're right, you're right. Now, they'll confirm me in the opinions I happen to be right about, but they'll also confirm me in the opinions I'm wrong about. So a recognition of our own fallibility, the intellectual humility, the great virtue that comes with the true recognition of our own fallibility. And when I mean true recognition, I mean not just notionally assenting to the possibility I could be wrong about something. I mean deeply understanding that I really could be. There are reasonable people of goodwill, intelligent people who want the truth as much as I do, who disagree with me. All right, I need to learn from them. Now, that doesn't mean I have to subject myself to somebody who's just going to shout at me, shout epithets at me, a demagogue. But it does mean I need to be open to anybody who's willing to do business in the proper currency of intellectual discourse. There's a currency, a proper currency of intellectual discourse. Just as there's an economic currency, it's pounds and pence in Britain, dollars and cents in the United States. There's a currency of intellectual discourse. That currency consists of reasons, evidence, and arguments. So if someone is willing to do business in the truth-seeking currency of reasons and evidence and arguments, we need to be willing to do business with them. That's how I feel about it.